Two men stumble upon a mysterious sinkhole. Stinky gas billows out, and the flames they ignite turn pale green. One tosses a stick down to check its depth, but instead disturbs an ancient creature lurking within. Local residents face a catastrophe, with few survivors escaping. To understand, we return to a school transfer. The protagonist, Bobby, arrives by car at the country's most prestigious elite school, where he's set to begin a 5-year academic journey. In his parents' eyes, this is a sacred gateway to high society. Bobby thinks so too at first, until he meets his new roommate, William. He learns from William that this place is a living hell. Initially, Bobby doesn't quite understand. Full of anticipation, he enters the ceremony hall and spots a blonde upperclassman. He instinctively approaches her, hoping to strike up a conversation. Instead, he's met with a warning from a silver-haired boy. There's a strict hierarchy here. Underclassmen are forbidden from socializing with seniors. Even a glance is off limits. Once the silver-haired boy is gone, William explains in a low voice, that guy's ancestors have all worked at this school, and his current duty is to enforce the daily discipline. Once all the students are gathered, the headmaster makes a grand entrance, flanked by 2 teachers. Stripping away the long-winded opening fluff, his core message is simple: no swimming in the lake and no wandering into the woods. Mr. Hank, a teacher, skips the dull ceremony and goes for a solo morning run in the forest. Suddenly, a loud boom echoes ahead. Looking up, a massive structure towers into the sky. Hank is stunned. In just a few weeks, they've built the rumored fracking tower. Meanwhile, the headmaster is still droning on. Suddenly, an oddly dressed man bursts in. He's a local resident, shouting repeatedly that they've destroyed his home. The silver-haired boy, as the enforcer of order, immediately grabs the man's arm and throws him right out. The headmaster knows exactly what the protest is about, so he takes the chance to reintroduce his grand project. The school sits atop rich shale gas reserves. To boost the school's budget, he's brought in a drilling team using the most advanced hydraulic fracturing technology. But what the headmaster doesn't realize is that while fracking is efficient, violently fracturing the earth poses unpredictable threats to the geological structure. Only a few days into the job, they've already found a massive sinkhole nearby. It turns out the school sits above an incredibly complex cave system. Just then, a technician reports movement in the underground caves. The supervisor guesses it's just a pack of rats and tells his crew to keep digging. In class, Bobby suddenly feels a slight tremor. Then, a helicopter roars past overhead and a wave of unexplained panic washes over him. But when he sees the blonde senior from the ceremony, his worries vanish. However, his overstepping once again draws a warning from an upperclassman. The silver-haired enforcer even shows up to issue a punishment, making Bobby and his roommates run 5 kilometers. William, being less fit, nearly collapses into the lake. But the silver-haired boy ignores him, noting they still have a kilometer to go. If they're any later, they'll miss breakfast. The other 2 have to keep running. Only Bobby stays behind to look after William. A pungent stench hits them, and they wonder if this place connects directly to a sewer. To make it back for breakfast, William takes Bobby on a shortcut through the woods, ignoring the headmaster's ban. Seeing the massive fracking tower, both are shocked. Suddenly, a patrol passes, and the 2 duck into the forest. Then they saw a cordon surrounding a recent sinkhole. The drifting smell was the same as the one in the lake. William lit his lighter and found the flame was green, guessing it was natural gas. They wanted to test the depth of the sinkhole, but an alarm suddenly sounded. It turned out the survey team had discovered them. Bobby and William fled in terror, only to stumble upon a group of local campers, including the young man who caused trouble at the opening ceremony. Learning they were students, the bearded leader mocked them. You call yourselves the elite, yet you're constantly seeking your own destruction. That fracking-induced sinkhole is the best proof. The bearded man believed it was an entrance to hell, and the headmaster and the school would pay a heavy price. Bobby and William felt uneasy, and that night, Bobby was even jolted awake by a nightmare. Unable to sleep, he snuck to the stairs to check his phone, but unfortunately ran into a teacher on patrol. Panicked, he tried to hide in the shadows, but accidentally rolled into a hidden basement. At the far end was a sealed secret door with the name of a missing student on it. Bobby was terrified. The next day, he called his mother to pick him up. This school was too eerie. He didn't want to stay another moment. But the moment the blonde senior appeared, all of Bobby's unhappiness vanished. He hurriedly hung up and seized the chance to strike up a conversation with her. He learned her name was Anna. Having lived here for 5 years, she knew many truths and secrets. As a freshman, Bobby had to try to stay positive. Surviving 5 years would be heaven. Her confident smile was charming, making Bobby's heart race. But just then, the silver-haired man from the dean's office appeared. He used a lit firecracker to remind Bobby that talking to a senior was a violation. Bobby was eventually cornered by the lake. Seeing the silver-haired man throw another firecracker, he instinctively kicked it into the lake, but then a violent explosion rang out. The incident soon reached the headmaster's office. However, the headmaster's explanation was a small-scale gas leak. He had just confirmed it with experts from the survey team. Mr. Hank was still uneasy, believing it was related to fracking. The headmaster quickly denied it, blaming it on dilapidated underground pipes. He then changed the subject. Bobby, the silver-haired man, and others had broken school rules and were forbidden from going home this weekend. Bobby was miserable, and seeing the blonde senior laughing with another boy, he felt utterly despondent. Bobby and William both thought they would spend the weekend at school. Suddenly, the entire school building began to shake violently. Then, all power was mysteriously cut. Fortunately, it was the weekend, so not many junior students remained. But unbeknownst to them, the mining team's monitors detected biological movement in the sinkhole again. The next moment, the iron fence protecting the site was struck by a massive force. Just as the engineer on site drew his pistol, the iron gate was smashed open, and monsters lunged at the crowd. Meanwhile, the local residents camping nearby were also attacked by the monsters. The bearded leader saw a helicopter flying by and thought of calling for help, but the next moment, it plummeted straight from the sky. Bobby, back at school, happened to see this and guessed it was near the sinkhole. Had something happened there? Bored in the dorm, he took William to investigate. Suddenly, two figures appeared ahead, the blonde senior and her friend. They couldn't sleep either, so the four of them headed to the woods, but as they passed the campsite, their eyes widened in shock. The tents were all destroyed. The tents were destroyed, but no one was around. The nearby gas extraction team went to investigate. On the way, they found a car with lights on, but the driver was missing. Anna saw movement in the grass, leaned down, and found an odd little creature. She thought it was cute, but the monster suddenly lunged. Panicked, she shed her jacket, wrapped the beast, and beat it. Once it stopped moving, they began discussing what it could be. Suddenly, a shrill roar echoed from nearby, and they realized they couldn't stay. They immediately returned to school and reported it to the principal. A female teacher examined the creature's body. Though she couldn't identify it, its anatomy suggested it was a subterranean carnivore. Anna urged the principal to call the police immediately, but he didn't want to cause a scene. He'd call pest control Monday. Anna was speechless. When he refused to call police, she requested a car to take them away. Just then, a roar came from outside. William saw the lamp's flame turn from yellow to green, but before he could warn them, a teacher by the window was tackled by a monster. Everyone was completely stunned as they finally saw the monster's true face. Only the principal's dog was fearless, while the others ran outside. The principal started the car, but as he was about to leave, he realized his dog hadn't followed, while Bobby and the others debated whether to wait. The principal's severed head slammed onto the car. The monster had finally caught up. Up front, Bobby gunned it, spinning the car with the monster attached, but they couldn't shake it. Anna, in back, had enough and took control, flooring the car to max speed. After a violent impact, the monster was reduced to a pulp. Bobby reminded everyone that it wasn't time to celebrate, as there could be many more. As they sped away from the school, Anna suddenly slammed on the brakes. It turned out her brother was still at the school. Bobby suddenly remembered a scene he'd witnessed and realized that man wasn't Anna's boyfriend. Overjoyed, he ignored the danger and insisted on going back to save his future brother-in-law. They scavenged weapons from the school's warehouse to fight the monsters. Meanwhile, Anna's brother was still partying at the grade's fashion gala. Watching from afar, William remarked that the seniors really knew how to have fun. To impress Anna, Bobby rushed in to save her brother, but he ended up being tied up as a prize. The ever-present silver-haired man appeared again, reminding Bobby that he was breaking school rules. Just then, several monsters charged into the crowd. Piercing screams filled the night as the gala turned into a living hell. Anna used the chaos to untie Bobby. Shortly after they escaped, a teacher named Hank arrived, hearing the commotion. Before he could grasp the situation, a monster lunged at him. As he fell, his spear happened to brace against the creature's chest. The surviving students rushed forward and quickly dismembered the monster. Realizing they couldn't stay, they fled back to a warehouse in the school building. With monsters everywhere outside, they had to either wait for rescue or find a way out. As they hesitated, the silver-haired man burst in with a gun, wounding Hank. He then revealed his plan, to lead them out of the school through a secret passage. But the catch is to have Bobby, who's always opposed him, distract the monster. Bobby won't just sit and wait. He lunges and tackles Silverhair, and they're soon scuffling. The bespectacled roommate raises a weapon and shoots him back. Covered in blood, Silverhair threatens them. "Don't you want to know where the secret passage is?" He then pulls a flare gun from his pocket, but as he's about to fire, two monsters appear at the window. They tear Silverhair in half. Teacher Hank uses his body as a shield to buy the students time to escape. Bobby remembers the tunnel in the basement. He doesn't care if it's the one Silverhair mentioned, they just have to get in. After a few steps, they see murals on the walls. It turns out the school exists to suppress the monsters who dug the tunnels. Everyone realizes the truth. Could this be the monster's lair? It's too late to turn back now, so they have to charge blindly ahead. Suddenly, a figure appears ahead. It's the local resident, Bearded Man. It turns out he was also a student here once. Since his brother vanished in this tunnel, he's known about the monsters. The principal's gas mining is destroying their habitat. But his protests were useless. Just then, a monster emerges from the dark, and Bearded Man steps up as a human shield. He's quickly bitten several times. In his final moments, he points out the exit and uses his last strength to hold the beast back. Bobby and the others don't stop for a second, following the path. They fight off any monsters they encounter along the way. After fumbling through the darkness for a while, they finally find the exit the Bearded Man mentioned. Bobby stays behind and tosses a lit lighter into the tunnel. He'd already noticed the area was filled with natural gas. With just a single spark, the entire tunnel and the school are completely destroyed in a massive explosion. That's all for Slaughterhouse Rules. If you enjoyed this, please keep following. See you all in the next episode.